Hey, Algebra 2 Trig, we're going to move on to 10.5, polar coordinates. Go ahead and write down the essential question. It's how do I graph polar coordinates? Now before we start, I need you to write this down. Okay? A couple of things to note is we have a new coordinate system. It's called a polar coordinate system. We typically at every coordinate system have an origin. Now we're going to call this the pole. And then now the new polar coordinates are r comma theta. So it's a little different. It's going to have a radius and an angle instead of an x and a y point. And then there's also, so now what you have to understand is r is now a directed distance. So I'm going at a certain distance. Like if I'm going 1, it might be out here. If I'm going 2, it might be 1, 2. If I'm going 3, it might be 1, 2, 3. Just depends. Okay? And then I have an angle as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you a polar coordinate. This is a typical polar coordinate. Okay, it has angles. It's like your unit circle. At every point is an angle. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and graph it from there. So let's do example 1. We're going to graph 2 comma pi over 3 and write 3 polar representations for the same point. Okay, so, Okay, so what you have to understand now is this is no longer an x and a y. This is an r and a theta. It was r comma theta. So my r is now 2, and my theta, which my angle, is pi over 3. So now I'm going to look, and this is how it's going to work. I'm going to go pi over 3. So this is the pole. I'm going to go all the way out. This is 0 degrees, or 0 radians. I'm going to go all the way out to pi over 3, which is here. And then my radius is 2, so I'm actually going to go 2 out. So I'm looking at pi over 3, I go 2 out, and there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and graph it. Okay, and then in your book, they actually drew an arrow out, and I don't mind that as long as you have this point put on 2, because it is 2 comma pi over 3. Okay, so now we're also going to write 3 representations for it. So every time, what I didn't tell you is if r is negative, you're going to actually go 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So let's say I had negative 2 pi over 3. Well, I'd be at pi over 3, but negative 2 would go the other way. So I actually end up here. Here would be negative 2 pi over 3. So another way to write this is, let's say I go to 4 pi over 3. I'm at 4 pi over 3. Well, I can do negative, I'm at 4 pi over 3. I go negative 2, go the other way. So another way to write this is negative 2 4 pi over 3. And then another, I need to come up with a couple more, so I'm probably going to use some negative radians. So another way to say 4 pi over 3 is, if I wanted to say it, it would be negative 2 pi over 3, wouldn't it? So I'm not going to go too much in that because we did all that in trig. So I'm going to say negative 2 pi over 3. Negative 2 pi over 3 is another way to say 4 pi over 3. And if I'm at 4 pi over 3 or negative 2 pi over 3, I want a negative r, so this would be a negative 2. And then the last way I want to write it is, let's say I went all the way around here. If I went all the way around here, it would be negative 5 pi over 3. So from here, if I go negative 5 pi over 3, I go all the way around here, and my r would be positive. Okay. If you have any questions, go ahead and write it down, and then we'll graph some polar points tomorrow.